Embarrassed in foreign country because his own country says he is a wrongdoer. End of tweet. I immediately came under adverse comments on Twitter accusing me of calling out our government when I should not have done so on this issue. But things took a new twist when the Jamaica Constabulary Force, no doubt in my response, in responding to me to call out the Jamaican government, issued a press release in which they stated that our client was arrested for cocaine in Barbados and that he had a criminal record for drugs in Barbados. I must state, however, that before this press release, the Honorable Kamina Johnson, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, contacted me through her High Commission in London via Councillor Desiree Taylor for information regarding Popcaan, which caused me to send to them on the 6th of July his bio information, and they informed me that the information had been transmitted to the UK authorities and they were awaiting a response. I want to thank the Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs for her kind intervention in this matter. And then, to top it all off, the Prime Minister himself, who Popcaan had appealed to on the 5th of July, responded positively to his request and ordered that the Minister of National Security, the same person I had asked the Minister of Culture to contact, that the Commissioner of Police and the Commissioner of Police to review the situation and to, and I quote the Honourable Prime Minister, with a view to help facilitate Popcaan's ease of travel as an entertainer. End of quote. We are again grateful to the Honourable Prime Minister's intervention in this matter. The purpose of this press conference, however, is not only to pay tribute to the intervention of the Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs and our Prime Minister, but to deal with a very troubling issue. That is, the issue of this press release by the JCF has caused our client great distress. This was more than the distress. That is, the press release by the JCF is more than the distress that he has faced at Heathrow Airport. And in this release, that has led us to file a claim against the JDF. The claim has to do with two libelous comments made by the JCF. The first of which I will deal with, and the second, that is the ganja allegation, Miss Bianca Samuels, counsel at Knight Junior and Samuels, will deal with that issue. Now, I wish to deal firstly, as I've said, with the allegation that Popcaan was arrested in Barbados for cocaine. And I note, I say arrested. I made an error on Twitter and said he was charged. I sought to correct that, and I apologize to the JCF for that error. So let's look at the allegation of his being arrested for cocaine. My check with your colleagues in Barbados, that is, members of the press in Barbados, was met with their alarm, as they have never ever heard anything about this internationally renowned entertainer being arrested in Barbados for cocaine. My checks with Google turned up 0 results on Popcaan being arrested for cocaine in Barbados or elsewhere. My check with attorneys who were law students in Barbados in 2011, when this fictitious arrest ought to have taken place, also came up with 0 findings. The truth of the matter is that this arrest for cocaine is a nasty falsehood whose odor has crept into the database of many countries, including the British database. If this info was received by the JCF, if it was relayed, the info that is in their press release, if that is what was relayed to Interpol and other intelligence agencies, it therefore means that I was correct when I said that Popcaan's experience was at the hands of the government of Jamaica. That is the security arm of the government. And this is what has led us to file this claim, part of it, in the Supreme Court against our police force, which is supposed to serve and protect us. There is, in my closing, no evidence, nothing suggested about an arrest by Popcaan in any coming out of Barbados. And in fact, if there's an arrest, is it fair for 11 years after the Jamaica Constabulary Force just saying that there was an arrest? So what happened after the arrest? Were the charges dropped? Was he ever charged? Was he convicted? Isn't it reckless to just say he was charged? You are the jury, and I hope you have read the complaint that we have made on his behalf. I now ask Ms. Bianca Samuels to deal with the other issue in the claim against the Constabulary Force. Over to you, Ms. Samuels.
Before I begin, good morning everyone. I am hearing a bit of feedback from persons who haven't muted their mics, and I ask that everyone mute their mics so that there is no interruption. Thank you. Now, I will be dealing with the following statement, which was made in the press release of the JCF on the 6th of July 2022, and it is this. It stated, and I quote, "The JCF can confirm that Andre Sutherland was convicted in 2009 in Barbados for possession of marijuana." Now, when we looked at this particular statement, it was particularly offensive because Mr. Sutherland's conviction for possession of marijuana was expunged by the chairman of the Criminal Records Rehabilitation Offenders Board of Barbados in 2016. And importantly, the relevant legislation in Barbados, which is the Criminal Records Rehabilitation of Offenders Act, states at section 17 that a rehabilitated person shall, in relation to expunged convictions for all purposes in law, be deemed to be a person who has never been charged with, prosecuted for, convicted of, or sentenced for the offense to which that conviction relates. And I think it's important that I repeat a particular section of that legislation. It says that the rehabilitated person shall, in relation to any expunged conviction for all purposes in law, be deemed to be a person who has never been charged with, prosecuted for, convicted of, or sentenced for the offense to which that conviction relates. And so, having been in 2016, that offense having been expunged, it is appropriate for me to say at this time that Andre Sutherland Popcaan has no criminal record, has no record of a criminal offense in relation to marijuana whatsoever. In fact, we have in our possession the report, a police report, which states definitively that he has no criminal record in Barbados. And importantly, Section 22 of the said Act creates an offense where persons make reference to expunged convictions. And so dare I say, where that statement was made in the press release by the JCF, the reference to a conviction as though it is live, it was in direct contravention of the Barbados legislation, and in fact is a criminal offense in that jurisdiction. And we have made checks in the Jamaican jurisdiction, and we have seen that we have identical provisions in our Rehabilitation Offenders Act. And so that reference was particularly troubling for us, particularly where Mr. Andre Sutherland Popcaan is an international artist who makes commercial use of his name, of his character, of his reputation. And so the rationale of the act, which allows for rehabilitation of offenders, is to allow for persons to move on with a clean slate. Persons who have successfully decided that they are going to abide by the law, and they make a request to expunge their records, and the government recognizes that yes, you have rehabilitated. This will no longer hang over your head. And so much so that it creates a criminal offense where after the offense has been expunged, reference is made to it. That is why it is particularly offensive that reference was made to a criminal conviction in 2009. No reference whatsoever ought to have been made to it. It is a criminal offense to make reference to it. And this is a matter which the JCF has referred to as having occurred in 2009. Again, we have in our possession the police report in Barbados, which states definitively that Popcaan Andre Sutherland has no criminal record in that jurisdiction. And so over to you, Mr. Samuels.
I thank you. So that just to expand a little, I'm asking the JCF to be careful if you land in Barbados because you have committed a crime against the law there for revealing it, which is punishable with 2 years imprisonment or 10,000 Barbados dollars. Be careful. And also, I'd like to say, for the JCF to have put this in the public space, to counteract me and my allegation that the Jamaican government is responsible for Popcaan's problems, and for them to have fed this to Interpol, false information, illegal information, which has crept into the database of several countries. I am appalled, and I take great exception to this treatment of a Jamaican citizen. The reference to ganja is unlawful and criminal, and the reference to an arrest for cocaine is false and libelous. And it is the taxpayers who will have to pay out multi-million dollars in compensation to Popcaan if we succeed in this claim, and we are confident that we will succeed. Additionally, his right to privacy has been breached by an arm of the state, because that conviction ought not to have been revealed. And that is something that will be added to this claim next week. We're adding a breach of Popcaan's constitutional rights to privacy, breached by those who should protect and serve him and us. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, for your intervention. And thank you, Minister Johnson. Now, we will have questions, but could it be by way of show of hands on the device, on the platform, and we will take you because we don't want open mics unnecessarily interfering with this press conference. We're prepared to go on for another 20 minutes with your questions. Be free by a show of hands to give your need for questions, please, and avoid the comments. I would prefer questions. Thank you. I'm recognizing Kirk Wright. Your volume, can I get? Give me a second. I'm putting my volume up. Unmute Kirk. Anyone else? I'm trying to get Kirk right, but I'm not getting him. Any person who would like to ask questions, or we are clear? Okay, I'm not seeing anyone with a question. As I said, the claim is now in the Supreme Court. It has been filed. Anyone wishing to have a copy of the claim, you could email me at bert.samuels@gmail.com. I like to repeat, Okay, Kurt, that is Connect Media. Yes, so my email address is bert.samuels@gmail.com. I will send you a copy of the suing papers against the Jamaica Constabulary Force, which by law we made it against the Attorney General. Thank you. I'm seeing Connect Media. On you, yes. Morning, you're low. I'm not hearing you. Go ahead, please.
Okay, good morning.
Morning.
Representing the Argentina Communications Group. I don't know, my email is Safe Connect Me, a whole lot of things. But just wanted you to repeat because somebody had their mics open, so we didn't really get a clear voice from you earlier. You said the claim was made this morning. Yes. Also, so can you repeat that in a few? And also, did the JCF respond to your writ that you wrote yesterday?
Okay, Beverly, mute your mic, please. Beverly, mute your mic. Okay, so the question is, was the writ was filed this morning? Yes, we had some challenges at the Supreme Court. As you may have heard, there is no electricity there from an unpaid bill, I understand. So rather than filing yesterday, when we brought the writ to the court yesterday at 3 o'clock, there was no electricity. We went there this morning, and it is filed and was filed at about 9:25 a.m. Copies of the file is not yet with us because they are scanning it and they have electricity issues. The second question is whether the JCF had responded to our demand yesterday by our letter to tender an apology and withdraw and take down that offensive press release. We gave them until noon yesterday. They have not done so. They have not apologized or withdrawn. And I must tell you that in law, a failure to apologize increases the damages and it makes the damage more egregious. So the JCF has not yet taken it down and they have not apologized or given anything to retract. We also asked them to apologize on terms to be negotiated. So we would sit with them and have them compose the apology to Mr. Sutherland Popcaan. They have not done so. And maybe their attorneys would be well advised to read the expungement law out of Barbados that show that a criminal act has been committed by the JCF.
I'm seeing Anthony and you're raising his hand.
Anthony, you can go ahead. I'm seeing your hand.
Good morning, Anthony Henry.
Could you say where you're from, if you're from a house?
He said Luke.
Luke News. Good, Anthony. Go ahead.
Yes. I want to find out. I scanned through the claim, but there is no dollar value, no going to the popularity of Popcaan.
Yes.
He's an international artist.
Yes.
Something that can have an adverse effect on him and his ability to perform.
Yes.
How much do you think you could get from the court?
Okay. Good question. So that when you're suing for general damages or damages, you don't put a dollar figure. It is the judge at the hearing of the case who will determine how much. And he will look at former cases. I would think that this is maybe one of the biggest libel cases that has ever been filed in Jamaica. For this reason, the libel is a criminal conduct, and therefore, and Popcaan has, on my check, 2.7 million followers on Instagram. So his base is huge. And therefore, when we're talking about the damage, we're talking about the four corners of the earth. And there are constitutional breaches which are to be filed next week. And therefore, the fact that it may have troubled his career in a serious way. I mean, parents may not want their children to go to watch Popcaan, who is a cocaine user. And may I just tell you that the ganja conviction, which should not have been spoken to, and I do so with the privilege and the permission of Popcaan, he was on the beach in Barbados smoking a spliff. That's the conviction. and he paid a fine. And the JCF is putting out this conviction when it is not an offense in Jamaica. Can you believe that? It is not an offense in Jamaica and they put it out there. Thank you.
Just to add to what Mr. Samuels has said thus far, the damage has already been done. And so even if there is a response from the JCF with an apology, with a retraction, it will only reduce the amount of damages, compensation, monies to be paid to Popcaan. It will not, the effect will not be that he is to receive nothing. The damage has already been done.
And maybe I should...
Muted.
Come, yeah, I'm muted.
Can I get one more question, please?
Before you do so, I just like to tell you what we have seen on social media so far. Popcaan has been referred to as a cokehead when they looked at the release by the JCF. He has been slandered by so many haters. But I must say that overwhelming support has come from the people on the media. I have been subjected to persecution and derogatory comments saying that I caused the JCF to open the can of worms. But that can has worms. And we now know who the worms are. Thank you. Who is next? Who would like to speak? I've answered it? Thank you, my brother. So there are dirty comments. By the way, we are saving all these comments. They are being placed on our files to read to the judge at the trial to show the damage done to Popcaan, the son of St. Thomas. He has done so much for the parish of St. Thomas. He kept a remarkable show in St. Thomas. And this is what they do to him.
Are there any other questions?
Yes. Mr. Samuels, you had said earlier you have a copy of the police report from Barbados. Can we get a copy? Is that copy out for us to get as well? Can we see a copy of that?
Okay, I will take instructions on that. Remember now, if you get it, you're not allowed to speak to it. So be careful now, media. Whoever gets a copy of his criminal record, you're not allowed to make references to any conviction on the Jamaican and Barbados law. You must not speak to the conviction. The only person that has the privilege to have referred to it
You're muted, Mr. Samuels.
is
You're muted.
the only person who was able to do so, and cautiously as we have, is because we have got the permission of Mr. Popcaan to do so, and we were forced to do so because we are put it in claim in legal documents, which has the privilege of repeating otherwise libelous and illegal issues. So be careful, media. If and when you get it, do not refer to any conviction, because in law, Popcaan has no conviction in Barbados. Are you hearing me, Commissioner of Police? He has no conviction in Barbados. Thank you.
Anything further?
I might just say goodbye. You say the goodbye. Thanks for joining us. Goodbye, Miss Sanders. Say the goodbye.
Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We had quite a good turnout.
Night, Junior and Samuels.
We thank you for joining us at Night Junior and Samuels virtually. I'm sure most of us here know how to get to Mr. Samuels should you have any further questions, but remember that was the purpose of this exercise, to avoid that. So if there are no further questions, have a good day, everyone.